Hi guys, today I want to show you how to make a glass tile pendant. This is a pendant that I made. The cool thing about these is you can put almost any picture you want on them, and this is a piece of artwork that my boyfriend made, and it's kind of cool because I can wear his artwork around, and it's definitely one of a kind. And that's why a lot of people like them, is because you can do just about any picture you want. So, alright, let's get started. First, what you're going to need is you're going to need a piece of glass to use for your pendant. I get these at Etsy.com, ETSY.com. They have, if you type in the words glass tile pendant, you can find just about any supply you could think of needing for this project. You can definitely find it there. Local craft stores, I have yet to find glass tile pieces at a local craft store, but probably one of these days, you know. Alright, so you take your piece of glass. You'll also need a picture of some sort. This is a picture of a daisy that I took a while back. Okay, let's see. You're also going to need some, what I use is triple thick gloss. It's a rock hard drying gloss. A lot of people like to use diamond glaze, which I've personally never used diamond glaze, but I believe that this probably works just as good. It does a rock hard finish, and you know, it seems to do a really good job. Also, this is not the original lid for this bottle. It's an Elmer's glue lid. It gives me more precision as I'm working with the piece, and I think that helps your finished product come out, you know, a little better. Also, if you don't have an Elmer's glue cap lid, you can also use, I've been known to use like the tip of a mechanical pencil. You can like screw it onto the top of your tubed cap, and it'll give you pretty good fine lines also. Okay, so you take your piece of glass. You're gonna want to clean it. You're gonna make sure it's clean. You don't want any finger oils or dust or anything on it. And what you're going to do then is take your glaze. You're going to want to dab a little out. You don't want any air bubbles or anything in your glaze, and you don't want any dried pieces that may have gotten into the tip. You don't want that getting onto your tile, because it'll show up in the picture. But you take a little bit of glaze, and you just kind of, I do like little line zigzaggy thing, but you put a little bit of glaze on the back of it, and you're going to want to just press it down on your tile. Now you're going to want to press all four corners and get it evenly, but you got to be real careful not to move it while you're doing this, because it tends to stick pretty instant, and if you move it, it can really mess stuff up. Also, if you're pressing down too hard, it will also, sometimes when you release your fingers from pressing too hard, it will mess up your picture. So it's important not to use too much glaze on the back, because it'll kind of warp it if it's not thin enough, and you don't want to push too hard, so it'll leave a bubble under it. So anyways, don't push too hard, don't use too much glaze. Important learning lessons. Now this part I usually would just leave on with the paper side up for about a day, maybe a day and a half. Let it dry really, really good. Let it cure really, really good. But for the sake of time, I'm going to run through and show you how to do all this without letting anything dry, and which, you know, that way you can get all the information that you need. Okay, so next you're going to want to take, after it's dried, you're going to want to take your picture, and you're going to want to cut all the picture off and cut it flat with the glass tile. They make these in circles. They make them in smaller sizes for earrings. They make all sorts of sizes of glass tiles, so definitely check out Etsy and see, you know, there may be a style that you would like. better than this. This is a 1" by 1" piece of glass tile. Okay, so once you've cut off the picture, it's time to put your backing on. And for this, I use a piece of crafting paper. You can buy it by the book, usually like an 1" 2" thick book of different styles crafting paper, or you can buy it by the sheet for about a quarter to 50 cents depending on the style you pick. And to stick your crafting paper to the back of your pendant, you're going to want to use just stick glue, permanent stick glue, and you're going to want to make sure that you get a really good coverage on it, on the back of your pendant. Whoops. So that way it sticks really good to your crafting paper. And if you reflect it in the light, you can really see what you've missed and not missed. So I recommend reflecting it in the light to make sure you got it all. Then you're just going to want to stick your crafting paper onto the back of your pendant. And you're going to want to kind of press it down, kind of rub on it a little bit, make sure it's secure. And then you would sit there and let that dry for about a day. Also, if you try to cut it too fast before it's dry, sometimes it'll break away from your pendant, and then you have to re-glue it, and it's, better just to let it dry and cure. Okay, and then when that's dry, you'll cut your crafting paper off level with the glass tile pendant, or soon to be pendant. And there we go. Alright, so then once you have this dried and you've trimmed it off, you're going to grab your glaze again. And remember, no air bubbles, so squirt a few pieces out. This is where that the finer tip, or getting to choose the tip that I use, comes in handy. Because you want to take your glaze, and you're going to want to just put it around all 4 edges. Some people use their fingers and can somehow make it look right by going around the edge. I guess my fingers are a little big because I can't do it without making it messy. So I prefer the finer tip. And you're just going to want to put that around all the 4 edges. Oops. And any big drops, you can kind of fix as you go. While it's still kind of wet, it helps. And then give it a quick blow here. Okay. Once you have that, you're going to want to let it dry for a day, day and a half, maybe 2 days. That edge there is probably the thickest part of the glaze that you'll have, and because it's so thick, it's kind of like fingernail polish. If it's not dry, it's going to show fingerprints or whatever touches it while it's not dry. So you'll just want to leave it and let it wait. And it kind of depends on the temperature and humidity and stuff like that, how long it takes to dry. For the record, I have tried to put these under a hair dryer type situation so they would dry faster, and it did not work at all. So trying to rush the process, probably not the best idea. So once your edge has dried, then you're going to want to take a little bit more glaze. You're going to want to put it just on the back of your tile. I use my finger, but a lot of people can use paintbrush, tongue depressor, toothpick, whatever is handy. You're going to spread that across the back of your tile piece, and once you have a pretty even coat, you're just going to sit and let that dry for a day, day and a half until it's hard. And then after that dries, it's time to put on your bail. So to do that, you'll want to find the top of your picture. I found my top, and what I'm using it's a larger bail. The small ones work, but you don't want to go too small. The reason I picked this bail is it's got a bigger hole, and this bigger hole means that I can change out chains if I want to use a ball chain, or I change my mind and want to use a ribbon that already has a clasp on it. I can fit the clasp through this hole, so it gives me more ability to change out what I use to put my necklace on. I'm going to stick the bail to the pendant using E6000 glue. You can find it at any craft store, even at Walmart's, I believe. It dries hard, and it is real strong, and so you'll definitely want this because this is a glue bail. Because they make pinch bails, but this is actually a glue bail, so you want your glue to hold. And while it's not quite dry, it'll act kind of like a rubber cement and gives you a little ability to fix mess-ups just in case you have a mess-up. But after the back of the pendant's dry and you're ready to put on your bail, you'll just put a dab of the E6000 on the base of the bail. And then you're going to want to find the center of the top of your tile and press down. And you can kind of wiggle it around, because usually you have to get it centered and looking right. If you happen to get the glue on the back of your tile while it's wet, you can usually just kind of scrape it off. It comes off a little easier while it's still wet. Also, I don't know if you can see that or not, but the bubbles that come up beside the bail top, while it's still wet, you're going to want to go ahead and take those, smooth them out, and get rid of the bubbles. So it's a lot easier when it's dry. You try to fix it, it's easier to mess it up, and then your work's lost. And then you have your bail, and you just set that like so, and you're going to let that dry for a day, maybe 2 days. I also want to mention that these are not waterproof. I mean, they can be in water for a minute probably, but not much longer. So if you do one and you find out, oh, there's dirt or an air bubble or something like that on it, it's not completely lost. Now, the E6000 for the bail isn't, it's waterproof, but the glaze that you use, the diamond glaze or the triple thick, whatever you end up using, it is not waterproof. So if you mess it up, soak it in water for 30 minutes, you save your glass. You won't save your picture, but you can save your glass, and that's really nice, because otherwise you'd be buying a lot of glass when you're first learning. So, and your bail you can save just by scraping off the glue. Okay, so there we have our finished bail. I think it looks pretty good for rushing through it without letting it dry. I guess that's all I can think to tell you right at the moment. So thank you for watching. I hope you found this video to be informative. To see other videos of crafting ideas that I've come up with or learned how to do, you can visit my blog at www.webecrafty.blogspot.com, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day, guys.